Alright. So like something a little bit in the political side.
Oh, no problem. Anong klase? How political do you want to be?
It's just I don't know, like very general question like the Philippine climate we're in right now.
Okay. That doesn't get you into trouble naman, ano?
Yeah.
Ikaw lang.
We will also be
Sabi, ikaw nagtatanong, ha?
Tubo.
Oo.
So do you need water? Anything?
Yes, please. Ano lang something, basta hindi lang cold na ano. And basta ano, at bottle siguro para
Okay, na lukewarm lang yung around room temperature. Sige pa.
Yeah. Ha? Okay lang dyan? Okay na? Um, dala-dala pa, oh.
Saan?
Dito ka pag-tingin sa
Okay, so parang the whole idea is like there's one there and then parang kunyari, pag nag-edit kayo, you can, ano, magalaw pa, no? Galing, ano? Kailangan natin ng ganyan, ano? Ha?
Lalo po tayo.
Oo. Kailangan natin ng equipment upgrading, ano? Nakapahinga na kayo?
Sulit na po.
Saan kaya ako dadaan? Nakakahiyang makita ako nang hindi ako sasali. Mauubos ang Bisaya ko, eh. Media outfit talaga kayo.
Hindi, sila lang.
Ikaw?
Ni-hire lang.
Okay. Oo. So, Rans, yung pinagagawa ni Janine yun lang, parang hinihingi niya lang yung ano.
Yung sa tatlong batch ko na.
So, hindi siya nagsasabi na puro raw lang yan, eh.
Pero pinapatranscribe niya po yung text.
Okay.
Bali, gagawin ko na.
May mga transcribe ka na, di ba? Noon pa, eh, bago pa, ano. Papaulit-ulit lang naman.
Pero may mga nababago din po mga
Ay, yan. Salamat.
Yeah. And then this spare. If you need.
Pwede mo ibaba yung bag. Upo ka.
Kamusta po today?
It started slow.
Yes.
And then biglang naging...
But when was the last time po you were in Cebu?
I don't... Basta, yung art fair, Visayas art fair.
Visayas Arts Fair. Not last year, but the year before.
The year before ka?
Palagay ko. Kasi it was like, yeah, I won. Ganun. Hindi ko na, parang a lot of things, they come and go. Eh.
Yeah.
Right.
As far as memories are concerned.
Yeah. Yeah. Target naman kasi activity. Okay, start?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But before lang po, as per Manny, we would like ask you lang po to like very quickly lang, like, introduce yourself to the camera para lang sa video. Sa social media po namin, especially for those people na, are new artists or also artists who are looking up to you. So it's a very, lang about yourself. Like your name lang po, and also your art style.
My what?
Art style.
Art style.
Yeah.
Ano, mahirap yan, hindi ko alam.
Or your name lang po.
Okay. Ito lang, okay lang. Sige. Okay, next. Okay, good day. I'm Manny Garibay.
I'll shoot you with your first.
Ulitin?
Okay na yun.
Ulit.
Sige, ulit lang po.
Hi, good day, everyone. I'm Manny Garibay.
Alright, thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Manny.
Mhm.
Welcome to Cebu.
Thank you.
First question, and I'm just really going to go through it. What does Kidapawan like in the 1960s?
Wait lang.
Oh, sorry.
Pwede ka, pwede ka.
Okay. Sorry.
Kahit lang.
Can I just shoot down the question now?
Kidapawan.
Yes. How
Ah.
was it?
Halik lang sa
From the introduce his name. I'm sorry.
Ulit?
Yes, ulit po.
And then straight na sa Kidapawan.
Yeah. I'll ask you then the question.
Sige. Hello, everybody. I'm Manny Garibay.
What does Kidapawan like in the 1960s, and how did that affect your art?
I actually was born in Kidapawan, but I did not grow up there. I think the moment I begin to have an idea of life and the world started in Davao City. And Davao at the time was a very laid back place. It was already a city, but it was more of a province than a city. So it was, I would recall, one of the safest place then until that very turbulent moments in the 80s. But I was already out of Davao by then. So I had my growing years partly in Davao City. I did some of my elementary studies there. Like I said, very laid back, uh, but somehow already starting to grow as an urban center. Mm.
All right. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
We're reading up articles about you in the internet. And how did your well-known expressionist figurative style came about? Because that is how they, in the write-ups, they
Mhm.
call your art style.
Mhm. Well, let's just say I wasn't thinking of being an expressionist, figurative artist. I did, well, one things I always like to do was to paint the figure. And perhaps partly because of my inadequacy as a draftsman, as a painter, uh, they kind of look bad. So the anatomy is not very good, the rendering is not very good. In other words, I guess the sloppiness of the creative outcome somehow gives it a an expressionistic quality, and you can say that's quite serendipitous, no? Because something like unintentional turns out to be the attractive aspect of the work. So, but then again, you can always say there was little effort or striving to polish the work because I saw in it like a quality that was enough to convey my intention. Mm.
Thank you. Speaking of intention, there is a quote that is really resonating with me.
Mm.
That is from you, and let me read it. It
Mm.
is the richness of the poor that I am drawn to, and which I am a part of, that I want to impart.
Mhm. It still astonishes me up to now, no? Parang how that keeps getting recalled to me. To be honest, I don't really recall saying that, but I might have. I mean, I tend to be very reckless whenever I don't know, I talk, I share my thoughts. Um, but the whole idea actually is the commitment to simplify your lifestyle. uh, the commitment not to be attached to anything, you know, material stuff. That becomes more of a burden actually if you are too conscious in terms of acquisition, in terms of constantly reminding yourself of your ownership of these things. So instead of enjoying them, it becomes more of something to look out for, whether someone else is taking it away from you, someone else is, you know, using it, someone's, benefiting from it instead of you. So all this idea of wealth ownership, acquisitions, are actually unnecessary burden to always bear when you are thinking too much uh, in terms of what, you know, things that pile up as reflections of how well you have done in life. So I don't like it to sound like romanticizing poverty, but is because that is far from the intention. No? So the whole idea of richness of the poor is another way of saying if you have less care in the world, you are actually wealthier than rich people whose main concern is to become richer. No? So I guess that's it. No?
Thank you.
Mm.
There's also another quote that
Mm.
I want to. Art is all about an idea that you want to share, a way of seeing the world that you want people to appreciate
Mm-hmm.
in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which it is, no? The difference between coming up with a statement of an idea and taking it around, as compared to creating a form that embodies that idea. The form has a stronger potential as of being internalized and lived, as opposed to the exteriority of words. You know? uh, because words, well, can sometimes be just as internalized, but forms have tendencies to be taken as a transcendent mode of that idea. So, like what I'm saying is, any art, any form of art, uh, or any kind of good art, as you would say, always has that transcendent quality. That's why you call it liturgical. No? Because it takes you to another realm, it takes you to a higher level of understanding. It's like a portal to another dimension. No? So I guess that's what it's saying. No?
Thank
Mm.
you so much. All right. Yeah, let's talk about, because I was perusing a few of your artworks
Mm.
online, and one of them mentioned there that there was this writer
Mm.
who was trying to, I believe he was Australian,
Ah,
I'm not
okay.
mistaken.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Mhm.
it was mentioned how your artwork touched on the colonized Filipino identity.
Mhm.
And yeah, speaking of that,
Mhm.
um, uh, speaking of your art, has it always been like that from the start?
No,
Yeah.
that can't possibly be the case, no? Because like when I was drew, doing my drawings as a child, no? One of my favorite subject was a soldier, an American soldier. War has a strange way of attracting young boys or sometimes even girls. So there's uh, you know, it's always been integral to our culture to glamorize, romanticize wars, especially uniformed men, killing and dying, getting blown up, and all that. So it's really strange. No? So, in other words, you start imitating when you're young, and you start copying what you see. It sort of uh, grows into you, but gradually, as you start thinking, now this is the most important part. As you start thinking, you start reflecting. You start considering what you're doing and how is it really instrumental in enabling you to find yourself, because as you start reflecting, that becomes a goal for your existence. It's all about seeking yourself, because you realize that your existence is actually so drawn towards the desire to be accepted by others, thus the need to be a conformist to social conventions, no? And that's all part of social convention, no? Especially like our case as a former colony and remains to be a colony culturally, no? uh, is defined in terms of our perpetual boundedness, no? To that colonial legacy. So that's why, as I do art, it's consciously trying to extricate myself from that state of boundedness, to a state of emancipation, to a state of being fully myself, without needing to be affirmed or validated from outside, especially in terms of how well or how much I conform to these social conventions. No? So I think it makes a lot of sense, no, to strive to be yourself and to overcome being contained and conformed to a system or a way of thinking or a culture that actually, if you analyze it, becomes an instrument of soft power. So it definitely has far reaching dimensions, which can be described in one word: control. Mm.
Thank you. Speaking of that, I just like to share, Mr. Manny. I went to the UK a few months ago,
Mhm.
and I realized that all the clothes that I thought were cool
Mhm.
are for cold weather.
Exactly.
And I was so amazed. I was like, why? And then when I went to the UK, completely, it was like, well, this must be what they say as the colonized mentality. Like, I don't have to wear this. Like, if you go to the Philippines, it's so hot, pa.
Mhm.
And sabi ko, ang init. Like,
Mhm.
and no wonder if you look at our pre-colonial clothes, they're wearing vests
Yep.
lang, you know?
Wala pa nga pang itaas eh. So
Mm.
most often, di ba, lapu-lapu is portrayed as, parang nakachaleco or parang bare-breasted. You know? So,
Do you think, especially for the Filipinos, I'll say, I don't want to mention that, I don't want to say like common Filipinos, but will, are we, or do you think we will be able to get to see through the colonized
Mhm.
mentality?
well, we have to get used of seeing Jose Rizal perhaps in t-shirts or perhaps in Barong Tagalog at least. Because if you see the monuments of Jose Rizal, I don't know why he is always dressed in overcoat. Overcoat ba or what do you call that? Trench coat, whatever. No? Parang he looks so foreign. Is that our national hero? No. Of course, he has no idea how he is being portrayed. No? Because that standard was created by a Swiss artist. No? Sometime in 1906 or 1907, somewhere there. No? The wars for pacification were still going on by the Americans. No? But they already decided who our national hero is. And I don't disagree with the choice. No? I really look up to Jose Rizal. But the point is, they choose on how he is going to be portrayed. No, he is going to be portrayed as a foreigner. Di ba? So it starts with that. No? And how we embrace Jose Rizal in that image. Mm.
Uh, Very spot on, Sir Manny, because here also in Cebu,
Mhm.
uh, I feel like, because I'm in book publishing, and
Mhm.
a lot of people here, when it comes to reading our own content,
Mhm.
hindi talaga. I feel like in Manila, pwede pa. But here in Cebu, we're so with uh, with the American, with the pop culture that's what's being fed to us and that story, it's very hard to penetrate and to say to a Cebuano na,
Mhm.
you know, it's worth attention or it's to look at our own
Mhm.
thing. But then they also say, what is our own thing? So that kind of,
I think there's several ways of looking at that situation. First, I guess the imposition of Tagalog as the national language, which naturally would cause non-Tagalog speaking parts of the Philippines to react. Why is it that their language is being overtaken by another language, by a group of people who in the past they have really not blended well? No? Unlike, say, countries like Indonesia or Malaysia, like Indonesia, Bahasa Indonesia is actually a language that's spoken by a small minority in comparison to the widely spoken language in the island of Java. No? So, in other words, there was less resistance to adopt Bahasa Indonesia because it doesn't feel like uh, you are adopting the language of a major rival group. So that's one factor. Of course, the other factor is the deliberate mass education introduced by the Americans. When the Spaniards were here, only the elites, the local elites, were educated, mainly because the Spanish authorities needed local administrators. They needed someone who can run the towns, the cities, because there's so few of them. Uh, So, with mass education comes enculturation, and it was deliberate. Huh? because you don't just teach the language, you also erase the culture. Yeah. So like when they introduce English, they just don't introduce the alphabet as representing ourselves, but representing an alien culture. No? So uh, that's what you call soft power. Because after subduing us with hard power, with brute, coercive power, they needed to control our minds because it's harder to keep maintaining domination through hard power. You always have to be present. So if you cannot afford to be there all the time, you have to change the way people think and see the world. So the introduction of the public school system was a deliberate move to continue or to perpetuate our subjugation and our subjectivity to the colonial power of the United States. So that's why we're like this. But you just don't blame others for why we are the way we are at the moment. There's also another way of seeing it because cultures can be enriched by the infusion of other cultures because there's no such thing as a pure culture. All cultures are the product of the many infusion of the different uh, influences from outside, whether through wars or even sometimes through your own aggression over other countries. No? Just look at Rome. You know, Rome adapted a lot of things Greek, although they were the ones who colonized Greece. No? So, in other words, we have to see things in ways that can be helpful and productive for us instead of just keep blaming it for saying we are colonial, we are backwards, and we do not think for the development of our nation because we're always looking out. No? So, like, fact that I'm speaking in English at the moment no, is actually a way of saying we can make this work for us. No? So, in other words, let's build on that hybridity. No? So, and with that outlook, we stop thinking in terms of blaming, but we start thinking in terms of moving forward. No? So,
Thank you so much.
mhm,
Would you consider your artwork
mhm,
uh, hopeful or dystopian
mhm,
or stultifying that we can, this is it,
mhm.
this is us, or
All of the above. But ultimately,
yeah.
I'm an optimist. No? So it bothers me to hear that people see it as dark, see it as kind of even negative. No, but, I'm actually a very optimistic person in spite of the dark looming scenario that we have in the future ahead of us. Yeah. So no matter how catastrophic, cataclysmic uh, future events might look, I still see the future of humanity in this planet as being regenerated. Uh, we may no longer be around, but that doesn't matter. The humanity, or yeah, parang the humans or their humanity on this planet will persist. No? So, because it's part of who we are. No? Uh, so we are the most destructive creatures on this planet but we also possess the creativity that can regenerate all our parang destructive parang machinations. No? In other words, uh, we we have the way or the means to destroy ourselves, but we also have the redemptive power to restore ourselves. No? So with that, I'd like to do artworks that say things the way they are, with, and avoiding to be didactic about it, uh, because I'd rather let the viewer read stories into it instead of telling them what it is. Although personally, I infuse it with so much elements that I I'm kind of leading them into some directions, but at the same time giving them enough space to decide what they're on what story to read into it. You know?
I think also one that people find it asserting sometimes in your artwork is it because it's like social realism.
Mhm.
Like there's a mirror in front of this person that you're looking out through your art and say, you may not say it out loud, but this is actually what you're thinking, and that makes people uncomfortable to be in reality. I can't remember the title of the artwork, but I saw one of your artworks where is this grappling what I believe are the legs of Christ,
Mhm.
and at the below them just this priest
Mhm.
looking
Mhm.
slightly to the viewer,
Mhm.
um, part of the congregation of people, and they are.
Mhm. Mhm.
And sometimes you put them on a certain pedestal.
Mhm.
And I think that also, especially us here, the very Roman Catholic,
Mhm.
and so it can feel like, oh,
Well, it's not just pointed at one institution, no? But that's just the reality of the case in our country. We're generally Roman Catholic, but it's the whole tendency to enforce doctrinal truths and to insist on their absolute authoritative power. You know? So I think that's what, and that's exactly the word, power. When institutions become so accustomed, so uh, kind of obsessed with the idea of power in relation to their position, in relation to their institution, uh, there will always be tendencies to desire to perpetuate it because you want things to stay that way because it benefits a certain group of people. Uh, and the thing is, people actually embrace it. They love it because they have decided that it's them. So, uh, like in the case of Christianity, which started as a very supposedly a movement that believes in human equality, that commits itself to the realization of the fullness of life, suddenly becomes very, very hierarchical, very vertical in its power relations, where you have the lowest, the lay, and then the highest, the very hierarchies in the church. No? So, uh, and that's always the tendency because it's I guess part of the one side of our humanity that always desires control, power, domination, a sense of being important, a sense of being superior. You know? So once you instrumentalize beliefs or belief system to serve that purpose, I guess in a way it sort of goes against uh, what it should be. You know? Of course, like I said, it's not only Christianity. That tends to be the downside of many of the established religions in the world, where this tendency for insistence on uh, doctrinal authority becomes more of a front to enforce, you know, the desire of those who want to project and abuse power. Mm.
One of your artworks also that really resonated with me is that I believe it was Christ, but the feature is Filipino.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that is very.
Mm-hmm.
I wish people can see that, but if you show it to so many people here, they will be no. Why is it like this? It's not what I'm used to,
Mhm.
or something like that.
Well, I guess that's all part of our colonial entrapment, no? Kasi we have and the concept of the sacred somehow has been instrumental in making sure that the colonial orientation of our belief system is perpetuated, no? By conditioning people that God looks in a certain way, looks like, and in this case, God is white, no? And that's why we look down on ourselves because we are not anywhere close to the ethnicity of God, no? Uh, of course, it's very much a construct because if you go by the history of Christianity, Jesus is supposed to be a Palestinian Jew, and being such, uh, would nowhere be close to the features by which he is being portrayed, you know, which is that of a European, usually a 16th century European. So it's all very clever. Sometimes it's deliberately designed, but sometimes it's also a product of an organic evolution. So it took hundreds of years before it got to that point where Jesus is white, or at least very, very white. You know. Um, so sometimes what is not intentional from its original context becomes uh, a form that exerts power and control over another. You know? So, like when the Europeans came to us in the 16th century, that was actually the time when they contextualized the image of Jesus to look like a 16th century European. So I guess the most significant representation would be the painting by Leonardo da Vinci, Salvatore Mundi. Uh, so that's when Jesus becomes thoroughly white 16th century Italian, who is rumored to be the son of Rodrigo Borgia, otherwise known as Pope Alexander VI. No. So, I mean, just imagine the scandal of a Pope having a son. Uh, Even more scandalous was the rumored was this incestuous relations he has with his daughter, something like that. So it's all mind-boggling, but the whole point is what the Europeans contextualize as their own, so they have made Jesus as one of them, becomes, on the other hand, what was liberating for them becomes enslaving and colonizing for us when they started the program or the project of colonizing the rest of the world. So they introduced that image of God to us. And from that point on, God is white.
Thank you so much. Probably one last question.
Okay?
In this year's fair, our theme is ascend.
Ascend.
Yeah,
Oh.
ascend. I'd like to ask you, what does that word mean to you right now?
Well, I think I mentioned something to this effect a while ago. Ascend to elevate. And all artists must strive to work at the highest level of their craft because all good art is an act of elevating the ordinary to the level of the sacred. No? So mapapansin mo, that's why it compels you to look at it with intense, intent, because there's something so compelling and magnetic about it. No? So the ascending quality of the art takes you to that other realm, di ba? Like I said, that's why it's transcendent. It's not just elevating; it's transcendent. No? So, and that's why artists need to be conscious of this power. Uh, well, the market is very concerned about it, but let's not talk about that part anymore. But yeah, that's it. Mhm. Thank
So
you, thank you.
much,
Mhm.
everybody.
Mm.
Very full of wisdom. Inspired to
Uh,
yeah.
mm.
Your artwork speaks so much to me, and even now after
Yeah, you surprised me. Akala ko hindi
I,
ka, ano,
can
hindi mo
I
pa.
ask one question?
Sure.
Sir Manny? I have always been curious because I know a lot of artists, and not all artists are really invested in teaching.
Teaching.
Yes,
Mhm.
but it seems to me that's the direction you've been going, especially with Hinaman. What made you go into that in the first place? What inspired you?
I guess, as in everything I do, it's always a compulsion.
Okay.
So, like, the thing I love best about being alive in the mode that I do is I never made plans. Never. I just do things because I feel like they have to be done. Just like that. No? And so, teaching, I never really wanted to teach. Or one time I wanted to teach because I felt like I have something to teach. But I realized that was not the thing for me, especially at teaching in institutions. Because you see, when you teach in schools, it takes up so much of your time. It constricts your world actually, and you become. The funny thing is, you actually become petty because you start competing with your colleagues. You start, kind of having relationship what's this contentious relationships with them, and then you realize, why am I going this way? Diba? And of course, not to mention the loads of paperwork you have to do. Di ba parang tipong hindi mas maigi yata na ano lang, just engage people as informal as possible, and then as unrestricted as possible, no? Because that's the other thing about institutions. There are a lot of restrictions. There are things that you can say. There are things that you're not supposed to say. Mga ganon. So, ayun, parang uh, I guess it sort of brings back the magic of the old world that is deliberately being diminished, being destroyed, by this modern technological era. Ganon. And that's why I like to keep doing it because it gets me reconnected to that time when connections, real connections, still matter. You know. So, mm,
Yeah, this is like a lot of we went to the Cebu International School,
mm,
and we're so happy. I feel like the world is going circle because my generation
mm,
didn't grow up with social media. When social media came, we're just very addicted to it now.
mm.
But the kids who grew up in social media are trying to like read now more
Oh,
books.
very good.
Going back to vinyl, so I feel like
Mhm.
we're going there. And I hope it's like that. That would be the case.
I guess that's why they call it the alpha generation.
Yes.
Dahil ulit na naman. And I hope that keeps on. But you know how insidious, uh, people are, especially behind the techno information industries. Uh, they become more and more clever at this mind control game, that whatever direction you take it, they still find ways to be on top of it. You know? And I think we should always be attuned to think that what is moral is human. No? And among the things that is so against what is moral is the fact that very, very few individuals are actually richer than our whole nation. No? How do you reconcile, the moral implication of one person amassing so much wealth unto himself, no? And causing deprivation to millions or even billions of others. Ganon. Di ba? And they're even celebrating that, no?
And they're being worshipped
Exactly.
for that.
So it's a matter by which they are being elevated, no? And that's actually the new concept of the sacred, no? Wealth is sacred, no? And that's why they have to be looked up to. That's why they have to worship. Ganon. So we do not seem to understand the pervertedness of it all. No? Kaya I think art should commit itself to the project of compelling people to be deeply thoughtful of their life situations and the whole situation in the world as a whole. Ganun.
And you're right about, especially about power, Sir Manny.
Mhm.
Imagining how only a few people can decide on the
Mhm.
country.
Mhm.
I mean, the nature that if we all go to war,
Mhm.
it's just because of a few people, and
Yep.
you honor,
Mhm. Mhm.
you become a sacrificial lamb
Mhm.
to the
Mhm.
powers that
Mhm.
be,
Mhm.
and that is very frustrating.
That's not only frustrating, it's deeply disturbing, uh, but it also gives you, it reinforces your conviction to really cultivate the arts in a direction that keeps pushing you to explore the boundaries, the limits of your humanity, because that's what we really need at this moment to gain, to constantly and progressively strive for deeper understanding. You know, yun lang. Kasi parang, and that's why parang no matter how pretty some things are, as long as they deflect you from seeing reality as it should be seen, keeps you kind of blinded by its illusionary beauty. Yeah. So, in other words, not all art are redemptive. Not all art is emancipatory or empowering. No? So, kaya nga napakahalaga na we always need to educate ourselves. Mm.
Especially with AI coming.
Oh yeah, yeah, very much so. Mm-mm. So yun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank
Brad.
you. Yeah. Uh, well, ano, so,
Conversations marami.
yeah.
Madami na lang.
All conversations since Sir Manny marami.
Ayan, thank you.
So kayo sir, you went through all those rebellious period also, di ba?
I wasn't really that rebellious. I was trying things out. I always have a sense of restraint, actually. Kasi I grew up with very, you know, my parents were very good, very understanding, and very nurturing. So parang, what could go wrong? Di ba?
But
They
you
did a
were
good
more,
job.
but your parents also sir did not really try to stop you from being an artist. There was no such
There
restriction.
was nothing but encouragement to any
That's
endeavor
very
we
nice.
like to go to in our lives. And my father was a pastor, no? But it does not prevent us from challenging his views.
Oh.
So he encouraged.
So you have a very healthy communication.
Oh yeah, minsan it gets to a point when the discussion becomes heated, it becomes an argument, but nothing personal after that. Parang, minsan when you are so invested in your own views, then, you know,
And then your kids also are artists. It's still the same nature. You're still um very open with them. Bahala na. You can exchange ideas. They
Yeah.
can disagree with you and all that. They can have their
sometimes
own
we
thing.
fight, but that's okay. I mean, there's nothing personal after
Yeah.
that. No? And I think it helps that I maintain a certain degree of detachment with them. So, alam naman nila, they know that I care deeply about them, but I also do not want to be too, uh, tawag nito, burdened by always checking on them or always kind of intervening in their lives, mga ganon. So they have their own lives. No? So, ganun lang. And siguro, the only thing I want is continuity with whatever, wherever this thing is going. But again, I cannot tell them what to do.
Not even in the style of their artworks. So you're free to
Well,
explore
I
your
can
own.
be very hard in my criticisms, parang ganon. In fact, I'm more, what's this, guarded with my language with other artists, other young artists. Pero sila, wala. Sabi ko, pangit-pangit yan, baduy-baduy, mga ganun. So, and I'm very comfortable with that, with them. Dahil, um, I don't know, I guess, parang nagtra-transition din yung relationships. Kunyari, when they were younger, I was a tyrant. No? And then I kept them away from parang uh, wala yata kaming TV noon. I don't think we had TV yata at some point, pero we really did not spend much time. And then they had this thing for Japanese anime at the time, and then I keep discouraging them from that. So parang, and it's only now that they begin to appreciate why I was so kind of insistent on parang kasi I don't like them to be so consumed, no, by external influences. They need to be shaped by their own understanding of things. Ganun. Doesn't always work, but you do what you do.
Yeah.
And then now that they're older, so parang yung relationship nyo is more barkada. Ganun.
That's it.
So, wala lang. Parang, I think it's very important that you show respect to all of them. You show that you value their thoughts, their ideas. And then,
Because that's growing up in a household full of artists.
Yeah.
So,
well, actually, in most case, parang I spend more time with conversations with them than I do with my friends kasi I find my children more substantial, no? Mas malaman, they have more in their minds. So parang the ease of relating on an intellectual level parang sustains a very productive conversation. You know? So, ganun lang parang
Yeah.
uh,
that's I said that's why they gotta be big thinkers. So you have to have it.
yeah, I think that's important parang
Yeah.
but I don't overthink. I never overthink.
Yeah.
No, parang it's different when you overthink.
Yeah. We get that. Like when we ask you, you're just free flowing.
Mm-hmm.
Even
Mhm.
free flowing.
Now, like I commit to actions right away, and then I think later. Ganun. Even when I paint now, I paint directly on the canvas without anything on my mind. No studies, no plans.
And then you're just surprised, like you just let the moment
Right.
create the story for you.
I build them on the space. So ganun. So parang sometimes it takes a longer time to decide what goes where. Mga ganun.
Is that the same sir? Like because you have a lot of artists doing residency, right? Some of them are even in your house. I've met some.
Mm.
When they do their artwork, do you try to influence their styles?
I try to.
You try to. Okay.
No, hindi naman. Parang sabihin, not try in a sense na sabihin mo, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
I don't tell them that. But sometimes I do some demo and tell them, this is how I do it.
Okay.
As you can see, it's very, very easy, very fast, and you can complete the work in a very short time. So, unlike in your case, you have to do a lot of planning, you have to mga ganun. No.
Because
Then.
I have seen also
Oo.
early teaching in aroma.
Mhm.
And I witnessed them.
Mhm.
So early is very strict. Like, you only work with these colors. You
Mhm.
can't work with any other color outside of this.
Mhm.
So there came a point, really, that when I go into aroma, I don't know whose work is which.
Mhm.
Because everything else looks the same.
Devoid of personality.
So it's like, oh my god, I used to know which words. I
Mhm.
even told Darby, the moment you step out of aroma, I can easily identify your work because there are colors that I don't see in aroma before.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's why I was wondering, do you try to teach like that or is
No.
yeah? And then this one
My-
also
my-
has another style.
Uh-uh.
But it's
Uh-uh.
but it's not along what he does from you're not
Mm,
correct on. So
I don't think it's a good idea to cultivate following them. Because when you want artists to follow you, you are like executing yourself and you're creating clones. No?
yeah.
So you're depriving people of finding themselves,
Yeah.
which to me is actually what art is
But
about.
yeah, that's the
Mhm.
most essential part.
Yeah, but also I mean, just really looking also at the more macro level. Sometimes because it's remind me, the galleries,
Mm.
the people who are at power,
They tend to
they
dictate
tend
that.
to dictate
Yeah.
what these
Yeah.
are.
Well, like I said, yun nga yung point ko eh. Parang if you paint for galleries, if you paint for the market, That's okay. I mean, if your goal in doing art is to make a living, not a problem. Um, but my aim is always the pursuit of fullness of life. No? So if you want to have a fuller life, you don't want it to be in fragments because part of it has been compromised in order uh, to be marketable, to conform to the taste of people who will who has the power to purchase them. In other words, every compromise you make chops off a part of you. No? So you become less and less complete. So parang, so what I'm saying is anything uh, that is an act of submission, a surrender, yung ganon, makes you smaller. No? But that is not a permanent condition. No? Sometimes you do so tactically because you need to do that, because you need to accommodate that, ganon, ganon. And that always happens. No? Kasi I can't imagine any one individual na kaya niya talagang i-overcome lahat. No? Because that's also part of the path to self-fulfillment. There will always be small accommodations or compromises along the way, as long as after that you persist, you continue. Ganon. So it's a lifelong commitment. Ganon. And every compromise or accommodation you create is actually can be a way of making you stronger, better person. Ganun. Dahil in my experience, um, challenges and failures are always more effective teachers. Ganun. Hmm. Yun, ganun ano.
Very nice. I love your insight.
Hmm.
Pick his brain.
Yes.
He'll make a move.
Para ako na sa Game of Thrones. Kulang na lang yung
Until when are you staying here?
Sit, sit.
Kailan?
30, no?
I think you're flying after months or
31.
Ayun, so many speaking